we do a serious one.
Yeah.
So joining you live from the World Championship 2023 in Barcelona, the Living Legend podcast.
Okay, well, hello and welcome back to the Living Legends podcast.
Oh, hello.
I've been recording for a while, but it should be okay now. I'm gonna have to do a post-production job on this because I'm literally just recording our screen. But that's for the our sort of deep cuts behind the scenes. But anyway, for the viewers out there, it should look exactly the same. Hopefully better. We'll see. But yeah, I'm your host for today. My name's Az from Going Gaming, and yeah, it's going to be a fairly sort of snappy one this week, yet again. Yeah, should be fun nonetheless. And joined as always by my two favourite people that enjoy this game in various different sort of you know, capacities. We got Bill. How's it going?
Hello, I'm doing quite well actually. Had a really fun weekend. For those of you not know, it was Canadian Thanksgiving this past weekend. Wow. So I ate so much food, and it was all completely delicious. But yeah, I'm doing well. I actually do have something like not. I guess it is flesh and blood related. It is a flesh and blood thing, but I found out that we have a few more local people that are new that were looking for bulk, and I was like, you know what? I have honestly way too much bulk, and you can have all of it if it's because it's going to new players. They're like, yeah, I want to build like blitz decks so that we can have just some things ready to like give out to new players as well. And then they'll be like, I will be the keeper of the bulk until more new players come along. So I'm donating a lot of bulk come Thursday. So nice. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to not have it in my house anymore. That's a huge plus. But also giving it to people that will actually be able to utilize it is fantastic. You'd love to see it.
Yeah, that's what that sort of towering block on the left-hand side of your screen is, isn't it? Those long cardboard boxes for the
for those of you who are watching.
Yeah.
It is basically all of that. There's some stuff in there that I'll need to take out, but for the audio listeners, it is. I think I put a. I gave them the option of customizing their order, quote unquote. Wow. Because I said, just so you know, just so you have an idea of how much I'm talking about, it's 2 5-row boxes, 4 4-row boxes, and like 7 800 count long boxes. Like 10,000 cards or something like that.
Wow.
So like on the low end, I think.
I have, oh man, I don't even know how many. Basically, I would say collarbone high of the 5,000 count big square boxes in my closet. It's like a lot. And bro, I don't need that. Basically what I did is I took out all the Majestics. All the rares are mixed in there now. I used to separate the rares, but now the rares are mixed in there now because they're more or less uncommons in Flesh and Blood.
Pretty much.
Because you get like 2 per pack and all this kind of stuff, and they're usually not worth anything. So I took out all the foils, and I took out all, like, obviously the Majestics and stuff, and then everything else is like in the closet. And so that's the dream, Bill. I would like to get rid of mine someday too. The problem is it's really expensive to mail, like to ship. And I don't have like shipping materials, and I want to keep my 5K long boxes. Those are like $20 each.
Yeah.
I need that for other bulk. But yeah, I actually just bought back here. You can see these BCW cubes that are 3x3. So there's like, is it 3x3 or is it 4x3? I lied. It's 4x3. So there's 12 of the 1,000 count long boxes per cube, and I bought another cube to stack up back there because I have too many cards.
So many TCGs. But yeah, speaking of so many TCGs, you've got Kel as well. How's it going? How's your week been?
Hello. I am Kel. So many TCGs. That's right. No joke though. Like literally my 2 main games that I play right now had product releases. Like on the same day this month, and it was insane. And then next month, 2 more TCGs that I play have product like booster releases, and this is a lot. I'm just swimming Scrooge McDuck style in cardboard, more than I already am.
Scrooge McDuck. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Good stuff. But yeah, so this week has been quite an eventful one in the world of Fab. So the main topic, which is going to be the thumbnail, the title, I've already made it actually, like an Ice Earth Guardian returns or something along those lines, because we have a new hero that has been revealed as part of the 5th anniversary stream. So that's the main news coming out of the mothership, was that Flesh and Blood did on their YouTube channel a 5th anniversary stream, which had the devs on there. It had a CC gameplay on there. It had the reveal of this hero, and it had a James White Q&A as well, which I haven't watched yet. I watched a bit of the Ira versus Aurora CC game, and then I went to sleep because it was late in the UK when it was airing. So yeah, cool little live stream. One of the main topics that we're going to go into as a result of that is the new hero and some of the cards that have come along with this. But yeah, first of all, just to shout out another thing as well that we've all probably seen by now, which is the 3 floating video. Did you all see that? The Armory thing.
Yeah.
I commented on their post about it. They did a great job.
Yeah.
And they did an unsurprisingly great job. I'll put it that way. I'm like, well, yeah, they're Hollywood actors. They work in the industry. Of course, they did a fantastic job. Not to diminish it all. I'm just expect high quality from them, and they delivered. Is what I'm trying to say.
That's right. Definitely. Yeah. So they've really set the bar in regards to like how videos can be. Obviously, they've got that sort of background, so they have the resources to do that. But yeah, seeing that at a sort of cinematic level with some of the sort of pro player faces on there was pretty funny. So that's a great way to sort of advertise the game going forward, I think. So yeah, it's good to see.
There's 2 things that I want to say about it that I find kind of interesting. The first one is like just a generally I don't know what you would call it. But I've seen other TCGs do this before. Most recently, the Gundam card game on their announcement had a similar kind of thing, less narrative, but more of a, here's some attractive-looking people playing card games in a hip cafe setting or hip LGS, and it was very good. And comparing it to that, I think is a very good sign in regards to quality, because that one was produced by Bandai, one of the largest gaming manufacturers in the entire world. Yeah, there's that. And then the other thing is I saw a good friend of mine comment on, he like retweeted it, and he was like, something along the lines of, this accurately represents a lot of people's first Armory experiences as they go in and get immediately 0-3'd by like really skilled players. At least this way it paints it in a positive light. But yeah, we've already talked about that kind of stuff on the show before. I just thought it was kind of funny, though.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I think it's really funny that very specifically, it's like you walk up to your LGS, you have your deck in hand, and you're like, you've got just stars in your eyes. You're like, oh my god, there's so much potential. This game's so cool. And then you get like old hymned or fied or like
you just get rinsed.
Round
like old school fi Zen. Yeah, Brody Spurlock at your local.
It's kind of a meme, but he does get around quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's I just thought it was like, I thought it was very funny. It's like there's a lot of locals. Like, okay, to be pretty real about Flesh and Blood, right? It's one of the games that you're not gonna find at every single LGS out there. It's one of those games that has like its passionate communities in their little spots. But those communities tend to be very passionate and tend to be full of players who have played quite a lot. So the chances of this happening to you are like pretty good to be honest. Like rocking in there and you play against someone who's played their deck like 4,000 times or something.
Yeah. Especially as a new player as well. We've had that story, I think, of the person getting beaten up like a baby seal or something. Shout out, I remember Tam Kablam. She still comments a lot. Oh, is it the same person? I see. Ah, okay.
Yeah, nice. It was her and her husband, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. You may be listening to this. Yeah. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but that's the memory I have.
Yeah, but yeah, it is one of those games where if there's an established community there, you're a new player, the likelihood is you're probably going to die. You're probably going to lose your games, it was a funny representation of that in the video, right, as well. So, but yeah,
it's just I don't know. I just thought of just like someone like, that was my first chess tournament. Oh, this is great. G. Willikers. Round 1, Magnus Carlsen. Oh. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Just not even a ghost of a chance.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, speaking of comments, just to pull up a few from last week's episode, just 2 that I've picked out this week because we got a main topic, and that is Sausage on Toast saying, "This is the best Fab podcast. Only thing I wish was that there was an area on screen to pull up specific cards." Now, I know that you used to do this when you used to record it, Kel, because I do the recording now.
Yeah.
So I know that you used to do this with you just had a overlay for the internet, and then you just clicked on the cards. And it came up.
To peel back the curtain a little bit, I just do window capture Chrome, and then I crop it to the correct size, and then I just click on the cards in Fabry, and so when they expand, it should expand to the exact size of my crop.
Yeah.
And I just hide it or unhide the layer whenever I need to.
Yeah, nice. Well, I did have an overlay set up where every time we speak about a new card, it would actually fade away to an entirely new screen, and the big card would be up on the screen. But as you can see, for the visual viewers, I'm actually recording in a lounge today, so I don't have access to my second monitor and all that sort of thing. So next time. I have a good idea, by the way. It's a little extra, requires a little bit of setup, but I think it could be good if people really want this kind of thing, and I can help as with the setup of this to help so it doesn't have to do everything. But you could jump to an alternate like scene in OBS, and the scene could be, instead of us have like we're kind of in the triangle layout usually, instead we can be in a 3-stack layout on one side, and then the card just big right on next to us. So like 3-stack, so you can still see our faces, and then bam, card really big, and you can alternate scenes, like just scene alternate instead of just doing the image alternate. So you just have to basically it would just require you to when we talk about cards, we just require to make another scene and overlay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, well, going forward, when I'm back to my normal spot in the house where I record, we'll be able to do that. I'll be able to flash up cards and stuff. I did have it set up out in the kitchen, but there's crap signal out there, crap Wi-Fi, so I had to move in here. So that's the reason why I haven't done that. But we have seen your comment, and we will do it next time. And then Xander96 is saying, "Wow, I thought the Marvel Cinematic Universe and new movies would have after credit scenes. Didn't expect it on this podcast." I read. Go ahead. So there was a post credit scene last episode, just because there wasn't much that we were speaking about last week, and I thought I was recording from the start, so it's just me and Bill chatting for like 4 minutes on the end, and then you came in afterwards, and then it carried on for a bit.
Yeah. I had no idea what the hell they were talking about, and then I rewatched the video and just clicked right to the end, and I'm like, yes, add a thing, a Marvel thing.
I did.
Basically, of them eating, sandwiches.
Shawarma.
Shawarma at the post Avengers scene or post Avengers post credit scene.
But maybe there's going to be more things like that in the future. We'll see. Stay tuned to the very end of each episode.
I just want to mention real quick. I curse Avengers and Marvel for trending the after credits scene, because now we have to sit through every single movie to see if they have an after credits scene, especially if it's some sort of like nerdy style movie. You're like, do they have an after credits scene? Like, I remember when, like, I don't know, anyway, not going too much into it. Just a thought. Just saying.
Yeah.
The thing that's kind of nice, though, is that as far as I know, there's a website that just gives you a binary yes or no about whether or not there's an after credit scene, and it's like, that's exactly what society requires.
I've literally looked at that site multiple times. Most recently, Robin and I saw a couple weeks back when it came out, Beetlejuice, and I'm like, all right, does Beetlejuice have an after credit scene? Let's pull it out and look at the thing.
Yeah, they did definitely set the trend for that, and you're now seeing it permeate into Flesh and Blood podcast content. But yeah, so just a couple more things as well. So my week in Flesh and Blood with regards to things that I've been doing personally outside of this podcast. So the League That Means Nothing Season 2 is finally wrapping up. So the top 8 games have all been done. So you'll be starting to see those trickle through on my channel, which is Go Again Gaming. If you enjoy sort of CC content with a bit of casting, which means absolutely nothing, then you can go and check those out very, very soon. And season 3 is going to be starting when I get back from Osaka. So anybody that enjoyed it last time or watched it and wants to play next time, you can by all means do that. Another thing is I did another one of those hero edits this week, which was like, a hero wearing different pieces of armor, and I thought, let's just do a new one. Let's do the Dash.io wearing all the pieces of armor from the Armory deck, and it's done pretty well. 100 and so likes, so people like that sort of thing. Nice. So I'm gonna try and do that more often, just because I like messing around with graphic images. So if there's anybody in the chat that wants to employ someone who likes to do stupid images, then by all means reach out to me, because I love doing it.
She looks like an NPC from like Fallout or something.
Literally,
I saw it. I'm like, she looks like a junker from Fallout. Yeah.
Pure industry Dash. But yeah, and I'm also going to be streaming a ProQuest this weekend as well. So I'm going to be taking my sort of laptop, display, loads of other things, microphones and cameras. I'm going to try and do like a backpack production for my mate's local game store first PQ event. That'll be on Go Again Gaming as well. So PQs are all happening at the moment. I think we're in week 2 of the ProQuests. And looking at the wins and the sort of representation of what is out there at the moment, Enigma seems to be number 1 still at the moment, despite a lot of Runeblades now running around. So followed closely by Aurora, Viserai, and Florian, which seems to be probably the best sort of counters to Enigma because of the split damage and the rune chants and all the wards trying to get rid of it. Makes sense.
We truly are in the Tales of Aria era.
Yeah.
So
we're seeing the rise of Runeblades and Viserai's. I think Viserai was. I think there was a dev talk on LSS's YouTube channel, and I think it was either Brian or James said that Viserai was the one that they had their money on for Worlds, which I definitely do see happening potentially.
I'm glad I was able to find this again. Shout out to FABTCG. But they posted, if I had $1 for every time an emo dude Runeblade, an annoying illusionist, and an ice guardian were entering a meta at the same time, I'd have $2, which is fine, but it's just weird it happened twice.
Of course.
Exactly, though. Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of power level, too, like, these heroes feel very, very strong, and I wouldn't be surprised if they hit LL, like, quickly, especially the Mistveil. I mentioned this before, but the part the Mistveil heroes are like kind of cracked. So
yeah, well, Zen's fallen off a bit of a cliff. Like looking at the PQs,
it only took like several bans, multiple bans.
Oh man,
pause. Yeah, just funny to see the post book burning just doing so much damage to Zen. With the Art of Wars and everything going. Ninja in general just fallen off a cliff as a result of that.
The thing is with Zen, though, is he needs just like one more card again. He's just one more card away from being busted as hell again. Like they're gonna print some random card in like a expansion slot or something that just like that seems like little innocuous, but it's gonna be nuts. Like plus 1 to every other tiger attack for this turn or something. Like, and it's just gonna be like, oh, Zen's back. Here's another 50 damage turn. Yeah,
it won't take that much. You're absolutely right.
And before someone grills me, Zen is just below Azalea with 4 ProQuest wins this week. Azalea's on 5, so
it's still good.
So Zen is still there. Good. I'll just looking at the graphic, but yeah, Auxilio's got something as well. That's absolutely insane. I thought Auxilio was absolutely garbage tier. So I'd love to see whoever put that one on the board.
Yeah.
Auxilio is a wizard, and big brain players like to play wizards, and they'll get there someday. It's the storm tier class, you know. If you're storm player in Magic, you're gonna like it.
Out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the type of hero that it's exactly that. Like it'll take a while for people to realize what the play patterns are and what the optimal deck build is, because I mean, with every deck when they first come out, you just sort of jam the cards that are obviously good and then a bunch of the cards that you have to because they're in the set together, and you're like, okay, well, this doesn't quite work. But sometimes you can have things that precipitate, like Bullander, where it's like that's off the wall, but it worked very well. So So yeah, I think people are now that there's been the opportunity for it to cook a little bit, people are realizing that Auxilio is just good. Like, he's just a good hero. He's tough to do, but he really rewards play patterns and figuring out the optimal play pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of like other heroes as well, I really enjoyed watching the Ira CC gameplay, which was on the LSS channel. It was Carol that was piloting it, and it was making use of things like flick flacks to sort of block quite effectively, and then obviously combo cards also block for extra after you play it, don't they, or something? And then also just following up with like on the next turn, Kodachi, and then an interactive attack like a weakest link or a CNC for 7, because it's the second attack after the Kodachi.
Yep.
So it could play into both full sending a lot of damage or trying to block and then just do Kodachi and then interactive attack for 7. The fact
Ira's very good.
Yeah, so it's good to see that in CC.
One of my favorite decks in Blitz for a very long time. Yeah, I played a lot of Ira. My most played Ninja by far.
It's funny to me how she is the first hero that was printed for Flesh and Blood. How she has such an objectively simple effect that is, you get +1 damage on your second attack every turn. It's like, okay, cool. You do 1 extra damage, whatever. How does that like do anything? Breakpoints are insane. Breakpoints are like the like bread and butter of Flesh and Blood. Yeah. So, like you're saying, Kodachi into CNC for 7 is just straight up a good play.
on those
just painful.
On those massive generic attacks. Another card that Carol was using was Censor. Another one that...
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. I love that card.
That's a Kel favorite, yeah.
Just rewards you for knowing what's going on in the metagame or in the matchup that you're playing. Because if you name the card that you don't want to see, you're winning.
It's so good.
It is good.
It's so good. Sensor's so good. There's so many awesome things with that card. I love it so much. This is not for Ira, but like I play Censor in my Assassin decks, and there's a lot of ways to see your opponent's hand, to see what's on top of their deck in Assassin decks, whether you're playing Arachne, whether you're playing Uzuri. If you do like a shakedown, you name a thing and they reveal it. If you somehow give a go again with like your boots or something, then you can censor their and they know you have the information, so they're incentivized to just block with their whole hand or like risk being locked out of the card. There's also things where you can like play a codex and then name the card that they picked with codex. One of my favorite plays is codexing a censor and then censoring them, and then name the card that they chose with their own codex. I don't know, it's sweet. Censor's great.
Yeah, so it's good to see Carol using that again, and obviously because it can be used after a Kodachi, it pumps it up to a 6 attack rather than 5. Which sort of alleviates that downside that is built into it, with it not being 6. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm gonna be getting Ira from the Japan trip. So it's gonna be a ninja that I actually try and play based off that gameplay. Nice. So yeah, looking forward to getting that. I recommend watching the video. It was against Aurora, who also is quite a good hero right now. So it's good to see that. But speaking of carry on.
I love how they kind of trolled the announcement of that, because they were like, in the stream it's gonna be Ira versus ? And it was like perfect number of question marks for like a bunch of different heroes, and a bunch of people are like, Dromai, it's gotta be Dromai. They're gonna announce the new Dromai and they're playing it right here in the stream.
Yeah.
Like, because it's the perfect number. And there's a couple other heroes. People in my Discord are talking that it could have been a couple different heroes, but it's just like, well, it's just Aurora again. It's just the same Aurora. Why did they question mark it? Yeah.
It's called interaction. It's called farming clicks.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe they didn't know what hero he was playing, but it was the exact number of question marks for Aurora. So like they definitely knew it was the right number of like things. I don't know. It's funny.
Yeah, you could have probably worked it out if you a lot of people were thinking, oh, this is a new hero straight away. They were bypassing that it could be an existing one, right? Because if you counted the letters like Aurora Shooting Star, it would have matched, like you said. But people just like,
so
oh.
someone in my Discord did guess Aurora as well. We were talking about it, and I said, oh, it could be Dromai, like cheekily, and someone was like, also it's the exact same for Aurora Shooting Star, and we're like, oh yeah, okay.
Oh yeah. Nah.
So they called it. Shout out to whoever, I forget who was in my Discord, but they nailed it.
Yeah, pretty good. But I saw like people were speculating on it, and like Flame Scale Furnace and that actually increased in price because people were buying it because they thought Dromai was coming back or something. So that was funny.
Speculation.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of speculating on this new hero now. So as part of the 5th anniversary stream, so as I mentioned, there was a lot that was sort of talked about and done in this. It was a good little celebration. They revealed a new product called Armory Deck Origins. So this is separate to Armory Deck. This is a product which I believe is intended to introduce new heroes to the game. This came as an interesting surprise because me and Kel had talked about Yarl Vrade on the Unsolved Mysteries podcast a few weeks before this. So it's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting that Yarl was on our minds, and then suddenly it manifested. I
tweeted about it. I was like, everyone's like calling their Oldims, and we called Yarl Vrade like 2 weeks ago. Like,
yeah, Oldim's coming back. No, it's Yarl. Everyone wants Yarl.
We suspected that Yarl was going to be potentially in the Guardian, the Mastery Pack Guardian, which I think he still is going to be. By the way, I think this is actually like means he probably is, and we'll get to that when we start talking about the product itself. But so where did you want to start with that then? Did you want to start with the cards, or do you want to start with the actual, what do you think of the product? Obviously, its price point is different to the Armory deck. We should probably talk about the product itself before jumping into the cards. Mostly because I think we should spend more time on the cards anyway, but we should talk about like what it actually is before.
Yeah, I don't have the website up. Does anybody else have it up with the actual product,
I can
configuration?
Here, I can pull it up real quick. But the TLDR is it's basically the exact same. You have it up, Bill? I don't have it yet.
Yeah, I got it.
Go on, Bill. Go for it.
Yeah, so it's another Armory deck for Yarl Vrade, I believe is how you pronounce the thorn. It's another Armory deck. It's just sort of the same as all the other ones. We've had a couple of the cards released so far. Its release date is its official release date is November 29th of this year. The MSRP is $59.90 USD, which for my Canadians is $79.90, so $80 out of your LGS, and in euros $59.90. Which is a pretty penny. That's a chunk of change. The thing that they're sort of, I think, leveraging that with is that it comes with, where is it here? One piece of legendary equipment, which kind of makes sense unless it's a reprint, though. Like, it's an existing legendary equipment and they're reprinting it. I don't think it makes sense for it to be called legendary because it's not like a random card with pull odds and stuff. Like, you're getting it like guaranteed. As well as 23 Majestics, which again, I hope we know that at least one of them is a reprint. Like I said, I think 4 cards have been revealed, not including the hero. But yeah, so if it's a bunch of like high value reprints of Majestics, then I think that's cool. But personally, I do think it's weird if it's cards that only exist within this product, the rarity doesn't matter. It's not a. Yeah, it's like I understand like what they're doing, and I hope that this is them saying like, hey, some of these are going to be Majestics, because like the ones from all the other like the new cards from all of the other decks have been Majestics. But the fact that they're saying there's this number of Majestics, there's this many, I'm hoping that they're trying to use that as like, we are reprinting high value Majestics. It would be really funny if one of them was Art of War, but it wouldn't make sense for the deck even slightly. But
you could use it defensively. All cards block for additional 1.
You could. And you can defend from your arsenal. You know what? Actually, yeah, I take it back.
I'm going to take it back. It's
yes.
But,
yeah, I agree. I agree,
yeah.
Bill. I generally think rarities in pre-constructed products are pretty silly in general. I think the only thing they do is they just kind of maybe signal power level of a card, maybe make it a little more exciting. And they also make it a specific type of card for reprint purposes. So if they wanted to reprint this legendary, it would therefore be a legendary, unless of course they change it again and they want it to be a majestic or whatever. So like those are the only things. A lot of card games do this, and I always think it's really, really silly that they do it. It generally doesn't matter at all, especially in terms of like pricing, like why is this card a legendary over this majestic equipment from like the KO set, right?
Yeah.
Like what was the one? It was like, what was the one from the KO starter? It was a Bone
Savage Sash.
Breaker, Savage Sash. I remember it was alliteration.
Savage Sash.
So like why is Savage Sash like a majestic and this card a legendary? It kind of doesn't matter all that much, especially if this new card is also like non-foil.
Yeah, because all the Armory decks have had majestic equipment slots that you can use. None of them have had legendary equipment slots yet. So it does it does sort of hint at, oh, okay, you're going to get a legendary, but it's going to be a tectonic plating. You know.
I mean, it could also just be one that they made specifically for this set, which is even, I don't want to say worse, but it's even kind of like it could literally be any rarity, right? Yeah. Because it's a pre-constructed product, you're guaranteed to get it.
Exactly. It could be a majestic at that point.
Yeah. If they had printed something like Savage Sash in a regular set, I think they could have very easily made it a legendary. I think that card is insanely strong. Yeah. Like I understand that they did make it a majestic because it looks cool. And there might also be the argument that they want to, like, they don't want to have people assume that this is what they're printing at majestic power level, or this is what this is not what they're printing at rare power level. So like some of these majestics, like the draw card item from the -IO deck, if they printed that at rare, then people would be like, oh my god, like what is their design philosophy that this is a rare card? Although they did print Bonds of Ancestry as it was. So
I mean, you know,
like Bonds could have been a majestic specialization, and it still would have been too good. But yeah, I think that there's probably some amount of that coming into play here, where it's like they're going to print a really powerful piece of equipment, hopefully a very powerful piece of equipment that is legendary tier, that like, and they're just making sure that people don't buy this set. They don't buy this pre-con. They see these cards and they're like, oh, wow, they're really pushing the boundaries of what a rare could be, of what a majestic could be. So there's the possibility of that. But I wouldn't want to use that as like the selling feature of, oh, this has a bunch of majestics in it, especially if they're new cards exclusive to this, because then, it doesn't really, it would be like saying, oh, you get a Marvel, but it's a guaranteed Marvel. So it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. And I don't want to spend too much time. I've mentioned in the pre-chat before this, I don't want to spend too much time ranting about like the price, but like why is it $60? like it's
a lot of money.
$60 is a lot. And so I'm going to pose this question to the audience. All right, genuinely, why do you think this is $60? Like, especially over the Armory decks, like the regular Armory decks, like other than just slapping an L and an M on 25 or 24 new cards, like what other reasons would this be to make it $20? And I don't have a good answer without being cynical, to be honest.
Yeah.
The only things I can think of are like cynical things that are like maybe they're just doing because they can, or maybe they just want to test the limits of a product that they can price to see if it'll sell. Like I don't know. So let me know. Why do you think? I don't think it's because of like the legendary or majestic thing. They can literally print whatever card in whatever. It doesn't cost more to print a legendary than to print a cold foil like a cold foil legendary than a cold foil common or something like that. It doesn't cost more to do that. And you can talk about like dev time or something like that. And I also don't think it costs more dev time to make a majestic over like a good rare or something like that.
And this is another thing as well which puzzles me about the whole marketing of what the product is called. The product is called an Armory deck, right? This is not designed to win you Pro Tours, Callings, Battle Hardens, or even a Pro Quest, and yet they're saying you've got a legendary piece of equipment in here which is Armory level. Like that doesn't make sense to me that you can put a legendary thing in a Armory deck which is designed for just casual play. They say that Armory is a casual play, so I don't know. Again, it's the whole Armory deck thing which I've always had a little bit of an issue with. Is how do you define what Armory level is when, as we were discussing before, some of us go to Armories and get beaten 0-3 from people that are there grinding or using it as a stomping grounds to play their top tier decks that they're taking to the Battle Hardened next weekend. So
I have it's something that I've been thinking about. I don't really want to make a video or anything talking about it.
Maybe
but
you should.
it really feels like in the last, I don't know, like year or so, that they're trending their own products to be more expensive, just in general, right? And I'm trying to think, why would they do that? And why would they not? Why are they holding back on reprinting like really valuable cards? And at the end of the day, I think it might be, and this is coming from me listening to James and other people from the company talk, it might be because they don't want their game to be cheap. Like I genuinely think they don't want their game to be quote affordable or cheap. I think they want it to have a high price, and they want it to have like this luxury type feel to the game. Like they want it to feel like expensive and valuable. Because like when I think about like the Blitz decks, right? They got rid of the Blitz. Well, sort of. They basically threw all the Blitz decks into like a $70 pre-constructed product, right? Where you get the 3 decks and you get a playmat or whatever, which I also think is overpriced.
Yep.
They got rid of the regular Blitz decks, and then they started offering the First Strike decks, which essentially are like demos of the game. Like they're basically like trials and demos of the game that other games would charge $5 for. Like Vanguard has done that before, and some other games too, like I was like Kaijudo, but the Japanese version of Kaijudo, Duel Masters has $5 starter decks. And so like now we had the $40 Armory decks, and now we have a $60 Armory deck. What's to stop them from making a $100 Armory deck and just be like, this one has 2 legendaries in it or 4 legendaries in it, and as long as people keep buying it, we'll probably keep doing it.
This next product is the Armory deck Battle Hardened edition. So you can take it to the Battle Hardened and maybe have a chance.
The next step up.
Yeah, this is the Battle Hardened decks. Yeah.
So like I've been thinking about it a lot because some games trend the other direction, right? Some games are like, oh, we want our game to be more accessible, so here's more cheap products like to help get people into the game. And Flesh and Blood is like trending the opposite direction for the most part. And like, do they still do the free Ira decks? Like it feels like the First Strike decks, which cost money, are replacing the Ira decks. I don't know. They could still be doing the free Ira decks. My LGSs around here are all like veteran LGSs. They don't really do that stuff. Like, is there a 2024 Ira deck? There might be, which would be great if there still is. But that's just kind of what I've been seeing and what I've been thinking, especially in terms of like trying to think like, why are they charging so much for this, and you're not actually getting anything more. You have the same number of cards, right? And the same number of other things, which is like nothing. You don't get an actual playmat, or you don't get like tokens or whatever. It's just a deck. Like that's all you get.
Yep.
So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to rant about it too much, but I'd like to ask the audience, why do you think they're charging $60 for this? And I really don't buy the because it has a legendary in it argument, because it's a pre-constructed product, as I agree with what Bill said. So
yeah, it's just a little strange, but anyway, let's talk about the cards that come in this that we've seen so far.
A prefix to the part that we just discussed as well is we haven't seen all of the cards yet, so we can't really evaluate the value because we haven't seen what the legendary is or what the other majestics are. But
that's true, but in some regards that it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to dunk on it too much, but it kind of doesn't matter when you have a pre-constructed product. But it helps. It definitely helps if they put like CNC in it. I don't think they will, but if they put like here's 3 CNCs, then it's like okay, then
yeah, it's the reprint value, isn't it? Sometimes that you can evaluate it on similar like how the commander decks and like command zone used to figure out how much it's worth or whether it's worth buying, as they used to figure out the reprint value and all this.
The commander decks tend to be very good value. They tend to be like you buy it for $40 and you get like 100 plus worth of like reprint equity plus a new card. So you get like reprint equity plus the new cards, which is why the commander decks in Magic tend to be very good. And I do want to say this for Flesh and Blood in general. A lot of my criticism these days stems from just the price point on them. I think the products as products, like gameplay wise, tend to be very good. Including like the Blitz decks and including like the Armory decks. I've never had really a problem with the gameplay of the Armory decks. It's just the price point is always a little not what I would like to see. But anyway, yeah, I just want to preface that because I think the products themselves are designed well, like the actual gameplay aspect of them.
Yeah,
which can lead to the cards.
Yeah. But yeah, so what we've seen thus far, we've seen the hero, as I mentioned, and then 4 of the main deck cards. So talking about the hero first, I guess, just so that we have some context for how he works, we have Yarl Vrade, who is an elemental guardian hero with 4 intellect and 40 health, the like baseline stat line for heroes. He has Essence of Earth and Ice, so welcome back, Oldhim. And whenever you play an Ice card, you create a Frostbite token in an opponent's exposed head, chest, arms, or legs zone. A zone is exposed if there's nothing in it or equipped to it. I love that flavor, the design of like
buck ass naked.
Yeah, your opponent, you're like stripping your opponent buck ass naked, and then like literally frostbiting them. You are giving them
it's cold.
Like the medical condition frostbite, and I think that's really sick.
You mentioned the name a couple times. I think it's going to be really funny. Everyone arguing over his name because in the trailer, I think they say Vrade. In the trailer, the lady's like Yarl Vrade or something like that. So it's like,
yeah, it might be Vitrathi, because I'm pretty sure the thorn is a th.
I've seen other people say that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, but then in the trailer they specifically, it's near the end of the trailer. You can go watch it. They specifically say, I think it's Vitrade. Let me go.
But yeah, so what are your first impressions on this hero? Let's start with Az.
Yeah, I like the game plan that it looks to try and accomplish is smash your opponent's armor in with various cards that Yarl Vrade or Vitrathi is going to have access to already, with some stuff that come in this deck and stuff that we've seen printed already. Plus the end game of once you smash that opponent's equipment in, slowing every action that they do down with whenever you play an ice card. So it doesn't even have to be on your turn. It can be on the opponent's turn. So if you have instants or I think there's ice reacts as well, like D-reacts. Like I think it's like biting breeze and other things. I can't remember because my Tales of Aria knowledge is very, very low. But I think there's other things as well that you can play on your opponent's turn that might give them ice in the middle of their turn as well if they've got exposed areas. So yeah, I think it's going to be good. And obviously Guardian it's not good for my favourite hero, Azalea. Azalea doesn't really like Guardians that much, doesn't like Frostbite that much. Guardian's quite an interactive class, so coupling that with ice and with equipment hate could be quite a nice little combo. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see how it plays and how it cracks on, but not looking forward to playing against it, but we'll see.
I'm not really all that excited to play against Snow Under is a common that I think will be pretty good in his deck. Yeah. 3 costs, where it's a red, 3 cost 7 attack, comes in all 3 colors, but I think the red is the important one here. With Ice Fusion, and if it was fused, it gains if this hits a hero, create a Frostbite token. So on play, it gives them a Frostbite if they have already used one of their weapons or one of their equipment. Yeah. And then on hit, if they let it hit, it makes a second one. 2 Frostbites is pretty devastating for a single card. And then, of course, there's Oakenold. I think Oakenold is, like, of course he's going to play it. Oh, great. So good.
Yeah. How many out there are now old when you realize Oakenold is not an Oldham specialization?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to play it in Starvo as well, giving it the +2 from Oakenold's ability when you fuse it, and +2 from Starvo's ability if you casinoed, so making 11. It 11 dominate go again.
11 dominate. Yeah, if it hits
bottom 2 cards, it's just crazy.
We're back, baby.
So I think he's going to be really interesting. We've also seen we have a Mangle reprint. That's an existing card, but it was the first time that we got to see Yarl Vrade. Same sort of deal. It destroys equipment, so that'll help out with his ability. We also have a support card for Mangle specifically, Unforgetting Unforgiving, which is a Guardian block with 4 defense. So it's a red 4 defense card, which is great. It is a Yarl specialization, though, so you can only play it with Yarl. But when it defends, if the attacking hero controls an equipment with a -1 counter on it, you may search your deck for a Mangle, banish it, then shuffle. You may play it during your next action phase.
That's pretty sick. Just everything you want to do.
That's just card advantage, man.
I think the card is unplayable because in the art he's holding a hammer, and in the art of Mangle he's clearly not holding a hammer. So unplayable card, 0 out of 10.
How dare he? Honestly,
outrageous.
I do think it is kind of funny. Anyway.
I forgive him. Yeah. I definitely forgive him though, even though it says unforgetting, unforgiving, because he's been frozen solid for God knows how long, because there's two different cards here which have the same art, but basically one's all frozen over and one's all glorious and global warming's taking effect.
I find that really funny too. That the next card is the same art, just cold.
Absolutely.
Current timeline. I think that's Eisenloft.
It is, yeah.
I do want to mention, I did look up, I re-listened to that part of the trailer while Az was talking, and they do say Vrade, specifically with the duh sound. So there we go. They're like, Vrade. Yeah. Here, hold on.
I mean,
anyone, go listen to it. It's at like, it's literally at like 30 seconds into the trailer. Go check it out.
Confirmed.
It's like Vrade.
I don't want to pretend like I know how to pronounce things generally, but I'm pretty sure that's a TH sound.
I think it is too, which is why I think it's hilarious that the trailer says Vrade, and now everyone's just going to argue because they're like, well, that's what the trailer says. It's when I used to do casting for Flesh and Blood, one of the things that I requested, and I don't know if they do this now, but we requested like pronunciation guides for all of the in-universe names, so we say everything correctly. And I know a long time ago, the official response was, well, whatever the community has decided is how it's pronounced is how we're going to pronounce it, which I don't know if they've changed that, going, the direction that Flesh and Blood's going. So I don't know. Yeah. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, global warming cards.
Yeah, but yeah, speaking of global warming cards, we have the card that has the same art but cold, Crumble to Eternity. This one is another Yarl specialization. It is an ice earth action aura, which is crazy already. The fact that he'll have a dual fuse card, another Yarl specialization. I think I said this one's a blue, costs 0 and blocks for 3. And if you play it when this enters the arena, you may put a -1 counter on an equipment. Perfect. Works straight into your mangle. But then it also pops at the beginning of your next action phase. You get to destroy it. Then your next attack this turn gets Dominate. So a really good just like 1-2 punch with this is to play Crumble to Eternity, put a -1 counter on one of their things, then defend with Unforgetting, Unforgiving to go find a Mangle, and then attack with Mangle with Dominate. It'll likely crush and then destroy the thing that you marked for death. Which is kind of nuts. Like, that's really good. Obviously there's other ways to do that, like to do like none of those pieces are necessarily required. But
this kind of card and effect is really interesting to me, because if you're sitting across from your opponent and you know they're playing Yarl Vrade, then you know that they're probably going to be doing this. And so that heavily incentivizes you as their opponent to block with your stuff early so they get no value out of the cards like this, right? Because if you block with your equipment, it does turn on their hero ability, right? But at least you get full value out of your equipment and you get that block equity rather than having your opponent eat it away. Yeah, so like it's kind of an interesting thing, especially if you're playing Yarl against the Yarl himself. As opposed to someone like when you're playing against Bravo, you're like, oh, do they have the Mangles? Probably, but maybe. And this guy's got a way to like tutor them up. So, I think it's an interesting thing when you're sitting across from someone, you're like, yeah, sure, I'll block with all my stuff early on, and then just full send, have a couple full send turns to try to get the tempo.
Yeah. Az, are you excited to be playing against this? For them to like snipe your Skullbone Cross Wrap?
Absolutely not, no. Azalea's got 2 block on field. She's already naked, basically. She's already exposed.
I just thought of something. Assassin buyback equipment directly counters Yarl.
Oh yes,
because you can get your equipment back over and over again. And I'm not naked. Joke's on you. I got new pants
back on.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so I think that's a really cool card. And then the last one that we have to talk about that we've seen so far is Channel Mount Eisen. I assume somewhere closely related to Eisen Loft.
Probably.
But this is an ice action aura. It's a blue that costs 0, blocks for 3. Another just blue ice card for pitching to Winter's Wail, which I think is gross. But this has Go Again, and at the start of each hero's turn, they lose life equal to the number of frostbites in their equipment zones. And then it has Channel Ice. So you put a flow counter on it, then destroy it unless you put an ice card from your pitch on the bottom of your deck for each flow counter. I did say Winter's Wail is, I assume it's... is that a... What's the card? What's the word I'm looking for?
So it's only living...
It's his like specialization. Okay, good.
Yeah,
because that would be miserable.
Yeah, it's Oldhim's weapon. So another thing that the devs...
Signature weapon.
Yeah, that's it. Another thing that one of the devs said on the interview was that... I can't remember what his name is now. Forgive me. Forget what his name is. But he said that Yarl's weapon is his most favorite designed weapon so far.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Joe Trick.
Oh no.
So it was it would be interesting to see what that weapon is when it comes out. But it's going to be that huge halberd thing, I think.
I think so too. But it's going to be great.
Watch it be the hammer in the art, and the other art it's just another hammer.
Yeah.
Just never get a cool weapon.
Cool.
Everything bonks.
Weapon. Yeah, that's very interesting.
All bonks all the time.
But yeah, it's without sort of spending too much time on this hero, because I know we're obviously cutting it fine again on this week's episode. There is a lot of things you could do. There's a lot of cards that interact with this. All you have to do is type in -1 counters on equipment or ice cards, and then you can figure out a lot of things you can do with the suite and what Yarl wants to do already. There's things like Exposed to the Elements, which is one of those cards that can further that game plan of giving you frostbites and -1 counters on things. Oh no, it gives you a -1 counter and then destroys it unless you pay something, I believe, on Exposed to the Elements.
It's destroy unless they pay 2. Yeah, if it's fused with both, then you put a -1 counter on something and then destroy an equipment with 0 base defense, I believe, or 0 defense. Controlled by target hero unless they pay 2 resources. So it is like technically optional, but still pretty rough.
It's still pretty rough, and it still devalues their equipment. So then that's furthering your game plan to a certain degree, isn't it? But also, what we had recently from Rosetta, all of this Earth support, so he can play things like the Decomposed cards, like the Felling of the Crowns, the Plough Unders, the Commanding Compost. I think that's the same card. So he could also access those interactive things as well, which is very dangerous for a Guardian to have more options to interact, because they already do that with their huge attacks. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how people play it, or whether they want to do like a 50-50 fuse, or all Earth or all Ice. There's a lot of options, looking at it from that perspective at least.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Like I said, I think it really incentivizes the opponent to block a lot early, and what that basically means is it heavily punishes decks that run over time value equipment, like equipment that accrues value over time, like your Grasp of the Arknight, whatever that just sticks around on the field and you get value over time. I think it'll excel against those kind of decks, like Skullbone Crossrep. I already mentioned it. Great against that kind of stuff. Against the decks that just want to throw all their equipment in your face anyway, like they're gonna do that. Like that does nothing against like the Scowling Flush Bags of the world, right? They're just gonna here you go, I'll block with it early. And so I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think the new ice cards seem pretty cool. Pun definitely intended. I actually really like Channel Mount Eisen, by the way, because one of the things that was like really unfun to play against ice decks before is that like a lot of the times it just took forever to kill you. Like you're probably gonna lose if you're in a bad spot, but it just takes forever to just grind you down, especially when you're in the mirror matches. And I really like this card as it actively helps kill your opponent. And
so it should.
And I think it's like,
I think ice, so if you're frostbitten, you're going to die. Let's be honest. There's going to be a card which says if you have a frostbite in all of your zones, you lose the game. That's it. You
die.
You just
and
lose.
And we didn't even talk about like playing multiple of these in a turn, because this thing has go again.
Exactly.
So if it stacks, right? So if you have somehow put 3 frostbites in your opponent's zone, you drop like 2 of these, that's 6 damage. You drop 3, it's 9 damage. If you can keep it around for a couple turns, give them the frostbites, it's pretty good. So I don't know. I like that card quite a bit, and it itself is a ice card, so it will trigger off a Yarl's ability if they have an open spot. So that's pretty good. So it'll at least do one damage. And it's the kind of damage that's like really hard to deal with, right? They lose life. It's not taking damage, so you can't prevent it. I don't know. It's cool. I think the offerings are interesting, and I mentioned earlier. One of the things that I was thinking of that was gonna be a critique of the product, but I will have to wait and see, but I have a feeling it's gonna be fine, is them selling a unique CC hero in a $60 starter deck, locking a hero behind a $60 paywall. However, I have a feeling that Yarl Vrade will be in the Guardian pack, whatever it's called. So if Yarl Vrade is in the Guardian pack, I think that's just a great way to make the hero itself more accessible. So there's that.
Yeah, because you can still, if you are still crack shuffle playing or whatever you want to do with Guardian Mastery pack, Yarl can still use all of the Guardian attacks. He just can't use the Earth Ice stuff. It's just Guardian only, but Yarl can still access it, so it still makes sense to potentially have him in there. Yeah, so that's a good idea as well, potentially. But lots of things that we're yet to discover. But yeah, if you want to go and search anything that cares about -1 things on equipments like Buckle, I think it's probably the Buckle was in the video. The art was animated for Buckle, the classic card, which puts -1 counters if it crushes.
Okay, I will say this: probably every card that was animated in that trailer is gonna be in the deck. I imagine.
Yeah.
So you can go scour through that. Buckle. There's a couple other ones.
I meant buckling blow.
Like-
Sorry, I meant buckling blow, but buckle is also the other one which destroys equipment. So
Let's see.
yeah.
Scroll through this.
And pulverize.
Oh, what's this?
Pulverize is not Yarl Vrade, actually. It's actually, so it looks like Yarl Vrade, but he's got a red cape. So maybe it's Yarl's brother Carl. You know.
Carl
Vrade. Yeah, hell yeah.
Carl.
Oh, so okay. So the other card they animated in here is, it's like a card from Tales of Aria. It's like, oh, what is it called? Not Avalanche or something, but it's like
Emerging Avalanche. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think it's just a common or rare or something like that from Aria.
Yeah, so that'll give them a frostbite if they're exposed. Then it gives them +3 on the next attack, and then gives them a frostbite as well. I think.
I remember passing that card a lot in Aria draft.
But yeah.
Be like, nope, give me the Runeblade card that deals arcane damage. I don't need this junk.
Give me those.
Give me the Singeing Steel Blade. I want to do them 1 point of arcane damage so they can't deal with.
Yeah.
And all as many ball lightnings as you can give me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if we're all good with that, and time is right, then we can pretty much wrap it up here. Obviously, I'm sure we'll revisit this again when we have the whole list. Obviously, it's coming out late November, so obviously we'll revisit it again when we see it, and give our full thoughts again. But apart from that, that's pretty much it for this week's episode. Unless we want to quickly do an Arsenal step. Has anybody got anything interesting going on?
I'm going to be going to Vegas next weekend for a MagicCon thing, so that's going to be really fun.
Nice.
I'm going to, on the Saturday night, I think, going to Caesar's Palace for a buffet called the Bacchanalia,
What's that?
which apparently is very decadent, and I'm excited for it because I have at least 1 week, I guess kind of 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks, to sort of get myself back down to zero after my decadent Thanksgiving weekend. So, very excited.
Yeah,
fill that indulgent tank up, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't really have I do have a ton of stuff going on, but I've mentioned a lot of it before, and some of the stuff I can't talk about. So I guess I'll just say that I finally got my Warhammer 40k minis back in the mail. I asked my community if they had any recommendations for people to commission for it, because I just want my starter kits, my Command Edition, painted up so I can learn to play. And shout out to Legit Miniature. I'm gonna look up his name again, but I think it's called like Legit Miniatures or something like that. Legit Miniature Painting. He did a fantastic job. His pricing was really good, and yeah, very cool. I'm very happy with it. I think I paid like $200 for the whole thing, around $200 for the whole thing, and
yeah, looks pretty good as well.
He did a fantastic job. It looked great. And then other than that, I've just been no-lifing Diablo 4 quite a bit in my spare time. It's really fun. The new expansion's really good. I'm like end game now, pushing pit levels like 80 and 90. I really like the new class Spiritborn. Spiritborn is kind of overpowered, but you know. When I started making my second class this season, it's going to be a Necro. 100% Necromancer confirmed.
100% Necromancer confirmed.
So yeah, that's that.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you, Az?
Not much, really.
What you got going on?
Not much, to be honest. Just wrapping up some pieces of content, like I mentioned at the start of the show, and before I go away to Japan. That's pretty much what I'm looking forward to at the moment, because I've never been before, and yeah, it should be fun. Can't wait to get lost. Gonna take a day at least to myself, just getting lost in the back streets and stuff. You know.
You should.
Yeah.
It's great.
So
like. Highly recommended, depending on like your hotel or whatever. Like last time I got there, I got my hotel check-in was like later than I got there, so I just went to my hotel and was like, hey, can I leave my stuff here? They always say yes, they're great.
Yeah.
And then I literally just walked around Konda, which is a part of Tokyo, for like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 hours. I just kind of like walked around and recorded a little bit of it. Maybe someday I'll eventually edit it. Of course. I still have the footage, but it's a good time.
Yeah. So just looking forward to that trip now, and yeah, you can definitely expect a lot of that vlog style filming to be up on the channel as I'm there, like, because I always like to upload stuff for people that like to know what I'm doing. They can see it in that sort of guerrilla guerrilla filming style.
I
GoPros
might
filming
just-
the drinks and stuff.
Like one of the things that's holding me back is like I was basically there for 2 weeks. I spent like about a full month in Japan this year over a course of 2 trips, and like I have so much footage from the second trip. It's so daunting. I'm just like every time I go down to want to edit it, I'm like, God, I don't want to edit this because I want to make it look good. I might just take a note from your thing and just be like, cinema verite, screw it, throw all this shit in one timeline, edit out like some of the crappy parts, and just be like, here you go.
Literally.
I literally might do that. Now that I'm saying, I might record an opening and being like, hey everyone, this is a very like unedited video. Hope you enjoy, and then just cut to the footage.
Yeah, or you could just do it for patrons only, perhaps. Then you don't have to worry about the YouTube stuff. You can just chuck it up on, because Patreon allows you to upload videos now, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I've done a couple videos on Patreon.
Yeah, so you could do that.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, I might. I think I can name it and thumbnail it well enough that it'll still get a lot of views. Yeah. So, I might just call it something like I like alliteration. So I was thinking of like 2 weeks in Tokyo for TCGs, something like that.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
I'd watch it.
Anyway.
But there we go. Quick round the table then. So, Bill, where can people find you?
Hello, I'm Bill from the Spike Feeders and the Living Legends podcast. You can find me on socials at BillTSF. You can also find me on YouTube at the Spike Feeders Fab. Still in content drought, but soon. TM.
Nice. Cal?
Yeah.
You can find me everywhere at Red Zone Rogue, redzonerogue.com, youtube.com/redzonerogue, twitter.com, x/redzonerogue, whatever. I talk about TCGs. I currently mainline 4 TCGs with another 2 on the horizon that I'm going to be planning on covering. I'm going to have a new HoloLive official card game video coming out somewhat soon. This is going to be for the Japanese release. It's very, very popular and kind of exploding right now in Asia and Japan. And then as mentioned in previous episode, I got invited to the Gundam card game world premiere event in December. I'm going to be covering that, and the more I look into it, the more I'm interested. And I'm kind of been reliving some of my Gundam interests growing up, because I am a fan of Gundam. I grew up on it, watching Gundam, as many kids who also watched Toonami and Adult Swim. I watched Mobile G Gundam, and I watched Gundam Wing. And since then, I've watched some other offshoots like Seed and Unicorn and stuff. So kind of diving back into it and enjoying it quite a bit. So I'm actually very much looking forward to it. So if you want that kind of stuff, I'm going to have another video talking about Gundam soon. Go check it out.
Yeah, sounds good. Nice. And finally, so I've been Az from Go Again Gaming. And I'm streaming a PQ this weekend, as I mentioned before. So if you're interested in watching some competitive Fab, you can go and watch it over there. And then I'm obviously going to be in Osaka as well, so expect a lot of content with regards to that. And the League That Means Nothing wrapping up very soon as well, and starting again when I get back. So that is pretty much it. And I'm on Twitter as well, of course, which you can go see random heroes being edited in different armor pieces, which seem to do well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. Thanks for everybody who's tuned in, and we'll see you still all over again next week here on the Living Legends podcast. Goodbye.
Boy.
Have a good one.
Boy.
Bye, everyone.
There we
Just
go.
dissolve into just caveman noises.
Pure. Absolute savage lands. Planet of the Apes.